All right, welcome to All Sides of Kennebec. I'm one of your hosts, Sean,
And I'm Jeremy.
and tonight we have Scott Jordan in. Well, we're zooming it again tonight, so I want to welcome Scott, who is running for House District 110. And the crazy part about this is 110 is my old district number, so this is just a turned into a confusing time for people to vote. But we need to make it known that numbers have changed. So definitely check out your numbers. I'll let Scott introduce himself. That way he can give you all the towns for for what he's running for, because I'll butcher it. You guys know that. So I'll turn it over to you, Scott. Let's hear about where you're running for.
Well, thank you, gentlemen. Definitely appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah,
So
thanks
I'm
for being
running.
here.
Appreciate it. So I'm running for, as Sean had said earlier, for House District number 110, which encompasses currently or will encompass Cumberland, Chebeague Island, and Long Island. So again, that's Cumberland, not Cumberland County, but the town of Cumberland, Chebeague Island, and Long Island.
Awesome.
How big of a population is your district? Do you know how many people are in it?
I want to say, I think it's just under 9,000.
Okay, so it's got a decent size. Decent
It
size.
does. It does. I
So
could be off on that number.
let's get a little let's find out a little bit about you. What do you do for work? Let's hear a little bit about you.
Sure. So I do work for a corporate company. I'd rather not disclose that at this point.
That's
But,
understandable.
I do work for a corporate company, global company. But on the side, I do have a small business, entertainment company, disc jockey.
Okay.
When I'm elected, that will go away because I will not have any time because I will be representing the people. I enjoy music and sports. I have a family, a wife and a son, 2 sons actually. I'm all about the people. I'm at a point in my life right now where it's about serving the people. Military veteran, served in the first Gulf War, Operation Desert Storm.
Thank you for your
And
service. My father
you're
was
welcome.
there
Thank
too. So
You're welcome. I thought at this time of my life, this was the next logical step for me personally, just knowing all the stuff that's going on in our state, in our town, and in our country.
it's definitely a time for the record books, especially here in Maine. We're seeing record inflation that is trickling down from the administration. We're seeing food costs rise. We're seeing gas prices rise. We've seen a little bit of legislation to try to offset the gas tax. We've seen a little bit that was pushed forward but was pushed against. What do you think that would help in the helping people get back to a normal basis? What's something that you think would help?
Common sense approaches, critical thinking skills, all sides of the aisle working together, changing what we have in place today because it's not working. Personally, I believe this was caused on purpose. Not everybody thinks like me. Not everybody believes the things that I think, and that's okay. Because if we all thought the same, it'd be a really boring world. But I thought this was created on purpose for certain reasons, for the rich to get richer and the poor to get poorer at the end of the day. But the way to address this is change. We need a new governor because I don't think the person in the office today cares about the people, because I was told by the governor that I was not essential to my household when she shut the state down, when she shut businesses down. I'm sorry, I'm the head of my house. I work very hard and do a lot for my home. I was essential, just like my wife. She was essential to our home.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I think anyone who's bringing money into the household that puts food on the table, that's an essential job. So
absolutely.
I do agree that they definitely approached it incorrectly. I think things could have been handled better. How do you feel about the way that the powers were just given to the governor to run rampant?
Well, from what I understand, we allowed that to happen because of the way things were voted on last time. So again, change. we need to look at things from the top down and start over. And hopefully with the new folks that are out there running and soon to be elected, I pray and hope that they look at things differently and they talk about things. Whether you're a Republican, whether you're a Democrat, whether you're independent, libertarian, we all need to take a step back. We need to think about and process what's just happened over these last 4 years and say these things haven't worked. And actually, it's been longer than 4 years. This has been building for many, many years. And it's going to continue to go that way until somebody says enough is enough.
It definitely seems like it's been at least a good decade build up, if not longer.
Correct. But it starts, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, just with how hard it's pushed and become so apparent in our daily lives.
Absolutely. What I was going to go with that was, to your point earlier, it has to start on the ground level, right? People need to get involved in their school boards. People need to get involved in their town councils. They need to run for the House. They need to run for the Senate. But it can't be career politicians. It needs to be business owners, business people, because business owners know how to run a business, a lot of them. I think they can run, a government, as opposed to these people that have never run a business and they're telling us how to run our government. As much as many people, didn't like Governor LePage, or maybe don't like Governor LePage, when he left office, our state was financially all set. And
it does
ran through that pretty quickly.
Absolutely. It does seem like there is a lot of unelected bureaucrats that just keep getting recycled from administration to administration. We definitely need to see smaller government. Like you were saying, the best way to get involved with this is to run for school board, run for a city council or a house. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yes, I would agree. We do have a lot of people out there getting involved. It took some extremism to happen. It took something really serious to happen to them personally in their towns or their families to do it. I think parents were asleep at the wheel for many, many years for good reasons, right? Everybody's out working, earning a living, right. and they trusted their schools. And a lot of these schools, unfortunately, have taken advantage of us and our children, and they're pushing things that are unacceptable. Parents
Absolutely.
should be the one teaching these things, a lot of these things.
We have seen a lot of pushback with school boards on parents. How do you feel about the situation where they pretty much weaponize the FBI to investigate parents?
Absolutely. Great question. So hearing what he said, I won't mention his name because I don't want to give him any more power than he has, calling, a middle-aged white men domestic terrorist because they chose to stand up and fight back. I think it's wrong at the end of the day. Me personally, as I've told our son's principal, I'm a middle-aged white guy. I didn't get the choice to pick my parents. Our son didn't get a choice to pick his parents. At the end of the day, I'm going to fight for what's right: honor, dignity, integrity, telling the truth, morals, values. And I'm going to stay in my lane to a degree. And I expect the teachers to do the same thing. Teach math, teach history, teach science, teach art, home ec, gym. Leave gender identity, sexual orientation, critical race theory. Leave those things to the parents.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I watched your interview with John James, and there's a phrase that you use that I think a lot of people that are even politicians now could use that word of advice, and that is stay in your lane.
Right.
I think that is something that is huge, and I wanted to point that out, that I really like that phrase that you're using.
Thank you.
Where, because I know that you're really active. I mean, you're hitting the streets just about, I would say every day from what I've gathered. What are your constituents saying? What do they want?
Sure. What it comes down to is, advocating for parents, educational change, transparency, advocating for small businesses. These businesses want to be heard, right? They don't feel they're being heard, to the point that we had made in the beginning of the conversation about being considered non-essential and being shut down. Liquor stores, casinos could be open. Houses of worship couldn't. The small mom and pop box stores couldn't, but the big box stores like the Walmarts and Targets could be. You had generational businesses that had to close their doors, but yet Walmarts and these other places got richer. People want tax reform. We live in a pretty affluent district in Cumberland where, there are some pretty wealthy people here, and that's okay. They earn that money and they deserve that at the end of the day, but not everybody can pay the same taxes. We're hit really hard here. I want to help, and I'm fighting for keeping seniors in their homes. I think the number is somewhere between 21 and 22% of the town of Cumberland are over the age of 65. And there's a number of these folks that are potentially going to be priced right out of their homes just because of the taxes. And they've lived in these homes forever. I think there was somebody the other day when I was on the Ray Richardson show that said when his family first bought the house back in the 20s, it was like $800 for taxes. Now it's like $8,800.
Wow.
Yeah, we have seen huge property tax hikes here in the state.
And I'm okay with that to a degree, but I think the number is somewhere, and I could be off on this, so that's my disclaimer. It could be somewhere between 80 and 85% of our taxes in Cumberland go to the school district. We don't have a say.
That's one thing that I've tried to be an advocate for, is to explain to people that your town's budget, a large portion of it is going to your schools. It's so right off the top, you want that allocated to your students or to your kids, but it's got to be going to the right place. But before I move any further into that, you were saying you want to make small businesses heard. How do you propose that we give their voices back to them so that they can be heard at the State House? How would we do this? What would this look like?
Great question. Well, I know Governor LePage is out there actively meeting with business owners throughout the state right now. And I say that our Senate candidates, our House candidates, go and meet with these folks and we find out what's important to them. How do we allow them to profit, right? Because every business owner should be able to profit. But what's a fair number? I mean, right now things are out of control, right? It's a fine line. It's a fine balance. You've got gentlemen and ladies working at Dunkin' Donuts making $15 an hour, as an example, down here in southern Maine. I don't know what it is in northern Maine. Maybe it's the same amount. I'm not sure. But $15 an hour. Some people would say that's insane, right? Because the cost of coffee goes up and all the other goods that they sell. But then that person that's working there, they may say, well, I've got to work 3 jobs in order to make ends meet because my apartment cost me $1,800 for a 1-bedroom. Then I have my car payment. Then I have my insurance, my healthcare. I mean, what is the right thing to do? So we have to talk to these business owners and find out what we can do to help them. And it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be an overnight fix.
Definitely not going to be an overnight fix. And how do you feel about the way that the Mills administration has been giving sort of a voice to business owners? Do you feel that they're addressing any of the issues?
I'd say I disagree. We can agree to disagree. I don't think she has given the voice. From all the research that I've done, I heard in the beginning during the pandemic, she wasn't listening to people. She wasn't listening to certain industries, no industry specific, but one that really brings a lot of money into our state. She wasn't listening to them. And
just so you know, I'm playing devil's advocate here, because I do know that there was a lot of people that were not heard, especially elected representatives. I know at one point Representative Shelley Rednicki was going to Mills's office. I think it was once a week to try and get a meeting. And if I'm correct, she would have to dispel this, but I think to this point, she still is yet to have that meeting.
I think you're right. And the other thing about Shelley is she's a business owner as well. She's a small business owner.
Absolutely.
Yep.
She's
a great lady.
An amazing person. We have her on. Well, we've had her on twice now. So I guess
Absolutely.
sort of call her a regular here on the show.
Yes. Yes.
But yeah, I mean, so what other things have you been hearing from property owners?
Sure.
What are things that they want to see at the state level? I know it's a little bit of a jump going from local to state, but where do you think any progress can be made for homeowners at the state level?
I'm not sure. You know, it depends on who you talk to. You know, again, we're in a pretty affluent town. You know, we've got some really nice places in town. You know, so again, I live in Cumberland, so on the water side, there's some really nice houses, and a number of those folks are okay with what they pay for property taxes, and there's a number that are not. But then when you get to the center of Cumberland, West Cumberland, they're not really happy. They don't feel necessarily that they get all the same treatment from being in the center of Cumberland or the water side. Again, that's on a town level.
What are some of the concerns that they've had?
You know, having to wait to get certain parts of the road fixed or different other places fixed in town. You know, where if it was in the center of town where somebody's driving by it every single day, you know, they feel like it gets quicker attention. I'm not saying I'm not saying that's the case. That's my disclaimer. I don't know any different.
I know one issue that we would probably run into talking about this particular issue is I know a lot of roads here in the state of Maine, they differ between like local town roads and state roads.
Right.
Correct.
So
But
I know that can play a huge factor in it. I just wanted to throw that out there so people know.
Absolutely.
But I do think, especially with a lot of the COVID money that has been given to states, there is money there for these projects to be done. It's about advocating the money into the right coffers, I guess.
Right. And getting them to actually use it. Right. Because we
Yes,
had a lot of money that came out. I don't think that they used it properly in a lot of cases.
So how do you think, how would you advocate? Would you be more loud, or would you try to convince people with logic? What would be your approach if you were elected?
Common sense,
Common
critical
sense.
thinking skills. Try to be as non-confrontational as possible, but remain solid and stand firm on certain things. You know, at the end of the day, you know, incentivizing people to stay home and create a socialist state, a socialist country is unacceptable. You're killing businesses. You're killing families.
Absolutely.
You're creating. We already had a major drug problem in the state of Maine, and we made it worse. We already had other issues in the state of Maine with suicides and other things, and we made it worse. You know,
how do you feel about the opiate pandemic here in the state of Maine? Do you feel that it's being approached in the right direction? What direction do you think it should take?
You know, that's a loaded question, and I appreciate you asking it. I like the hard questions, and I appreciate that. Being new to the political arena, it's a little tougher for me, but I don't mind putting myself out there and answering those kind of questions, to be honest with you. There's a lot that goes into those type of things, right? When you're behind the scenes like this, because I don't know what everybody's doing behind the scenes. I only know what's happening with the people that I'm talking to. And then I only know to a certain point. I can tell you the opioid problem has been going on for years in the state of Maine, because my mentor for many years was the mayor of Auburn twice, the mayor of Lewiston twice, and he was a state senator, John Jenkins. And when he was active, it was a problem back then, many, many years ago. And he was talking about it then, and it's only gotten worse. I mean, COVID affected so many people in so many different ways.
Their mentality and everything.
Correct. I mean, there's no way under the pandemic. Think about going to a fast food restaurant, let's say a Starbucks or a Dunkin' Donuts, pre-COVID. I don't know if either one of you guys drink coffee.
All the time.
I drink Dunkin's. I'm a Dunkin'
At least
person.
three cups a day.
Okay. I'm sure you've been to a drive-through to get those cups of coffee before COVID.
Just today.
All right. So think before COVID, how long it took you in a drive-through, and how long does it take now?
Most places substantially longer.
I know even
Just now.
Dunkin' Donuts, some Dunkins just until recent, they still weren't allowing people inside. I want to say
Right,
within
lobby, they had
the
it
last
closed.
couple months.
Yeah, that's another subject, but I'm just saying the actual time, like the Dunkin' that we have here in Falmouth, which is right up the road from Cumberland, in the morning time, they have the same amount of employees that they had prior
Right.
to the pandemic. And it could take 20 minutes sometimes for a car to move.
Wow.
And I'm not
I'm
exaggerating.
surprised they have the same amount of employees.
It took a while to get back to that point.
Right.
But they're back there, and now
Good.
it's
Good for
taken
them.
even longer.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's the same quality of employees.
Right.
Because quality and quantity is two different things.
Well,
Yeah.
we have seen, I guess, a change in some hiring practices. I guess we could say.
Absolutely.
If they're for the better, I don't know. I think it may be too early to tell.
True.
But I feel with my gut that it may be probably. I feel like something's wrong.
Well, I feel like it's gotten worse because right now it's pretty much let's fill the place with warm bodies as opposed to let's be a little bit more practical in the sense of who we hire. Now it's just let's get people in the door to hire people because people are so understaffed. But it's because of the great resignation that happened that people are like, I'm tired of this job. I don't want to keep working here anymore. I can go deliver for DoorDash and Grubhub for, better money. Different, the gig economy, basically.
Right. Yeah, but why? Think about this. So the Mills administration said if you did not get a shot, you had to leave your place of employment as a healthcare provider, right? As a nurse,
Yep,
as a doctor.
absolutely.
But then St. Mary's, I believe it is, in Lewiston, Maine, the nurses that were on staff had contracted COVID and they were allowed to go back to work with COVID. But those that chose not to put the shot in their body got fired.
That was wrong, in my opinion.
Yeah.
These are the same people that say, my body, my choice. But
you're inconsistent.
Right. Very inconsistent. It's hypocritical. It's very hypocritical. At the end of the day, I'm not going to please everybody. I'm not going to win everybody over. And I understand that. And I'm okay with that. But I believe in standing for something. Otherwise, I will fall for anything. And what I choose to stand for, again, is morals, values, respect, dignity. The golden rule, as our children tell us, treat people the way you want to be treated, right?
Right. Yeah.
Right. I mean, whether you're white, black, rich, poor, old, young, male, female, a child, or an adult, treat them with respect.
Yeah, I agree.
But you also have to stand firm on certain things too, right? You can't just toe the party line, as they say.
Absolutely. Correct.
Go along to get along.
Too many
that
people.
Was going to be one of my questions down a little bit, but I know we have Republicans that are pushing back against rhinos and career politicians. Where do you stand on being a dissent? Are you going to be a dissenting voice that will push back if it's not what the people want and they're just toting the party line? Would you be someone that would be willing to speak up for your constituent?
Yes, I would. Let's just say this. I'm not going to be backed into a corner where I would go against my constituents and go against my morals and values to get a handout, to receive some money from a special interest group, to help some other people get elected. That's just not who I am. At the end of the day, we're supposed to be servants of the people. You know,
and
oh,
sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say my opponent is an example. Everybody loves him in town. Well, I should say the vast majority of the town love him or like him a lot. He's a very likable guy. I don't have a bad thing to say about him. And I wouldn't do that anyways. He's been involved with the town council. I think
over the last few years, we've seen a lot of attacking on opponents. And I will say in the state of Maine, it's fared a little better with opponents not taking crazy jabs. I'm not going to say that they don't, because they do, but it feels that it's not as bad as it is out of state. So I
Right.
think we have that going for us.
I agree. I agree. So, you know, he was involved in the town council for 20 years. I think he's, and again, a disclaimer, I think he's been in this seat 3 different times. So if he were to win this time, he would term out. That's a career politician to me at the end of the day. You know, I don't begrudge him for wanting to do what he loves. Maybe if he does love it, you know, he should be able to go and do something. But change is needed badly right now.
I agree.
On all 3 branches of our government, all 3, the House, the Senate, and the governor. We need a change. I'm not saying Republicans need to hold all 3 seats. I'm not saying Democrats need to hold all 3 seats, but we need change, and we need it bad right now.
Absolutely.
Governor LePage, in my opinion, if you were to put the 2 candidates up there right now, I'm leaning with Governor LePage. And it's not because I'm a Republican. I'm leaning with Governor LePage. He knows how to run a business. I think we would have
What are
fired him
some of
up.
the key factors that you like about Paul?
At the end of the day, he's a businessman. I think we would have been a lot better off. In fact, I would bet my mortgage we would have fared a lot better under Governor LePage in the pandemic than what we did with Janet Mills.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. At least
I
in
think
regards to our freedoms and liberties, that's for sure.
Correct. He wouldn't have allowed, in my opinion, but you know, I don't know, right? This is an assumption. This is a gut feeling. Our freedoms and our liberties would not have been attacked. You wouldn't have seen generational businesses go away permanently.
I had to shut one of my businesses down during COVID.
That you did.
Absolutely. I'm trying to think of the gentleman's name up at Sunday River. Oh my goodness.
Oh, is it Mike? Mike.
Was it Sunday River Brew Pub or something like that?
Yeah,
Sunday
where they stayed open.
Right.
I can't remember his name.
I commend that man. I commend him absolutely, and I think Governor LePage would have treated him a lot differently.
Yeah, absolutely. He stuck out as long as he could.
He did, and that's the way it should be. At the end of the day, right? It's our body, our choice. If we feel that we're sick, let us act like adults. All of us have been out of diapers and off the Similac long enough. I can say for myself.
Yeah.
You know, if I'm sick, I stay home.
Absolutely.
You know, one of your people right now, are saying LePage uncovered the welfare fraud. He immediately addressed it. I don't know that to be a fact or not a fact, but
you know, I know he took a different course. I'll say that. I don't want to put words in anyone's mouths, but he definitely took a different course. It does seem like the course he took was setting people up for succeeding instead of setting people up to be dependent.
Yes.
I do feel that was a right move. One place that I kind of disagreed with him was the outsourcing, how he outsourced it out of the state. I didn't really like that. I mean, I understand, yes, it is cheaper, but I'm the type of person, I like to keep the work here.
I can appreciate that. I do too. I believe in going to small business in a lot of ways for a lot of things, because we need to help those small businesses. You know, I used to go to a restaurant. They were supposed to only be open for 5 years, and they end up making it 30 years.
Wow, that's awesome.
It's a restaurant. You'd walk in the door, and he knew like 95% of his customers' names, and he treated everybody like family.
Well, that's what it's about. I mean, we were just having this conversation at the local store that I go to every morning to get coffee and chips and snacks and donuts and stuff. And I was talking about, you know, I don't mind paying the extra 50 cents, even sometimes $1, depending on the product. I don't mind spending that because I like the service that's provided.
Right.
So, yeah, I don't know. I'm definitely a small business vibe type person myself. So
we have a lot of small business in Cumberland. We don't have as many as some of the other towns, but some of the businesses that are here, they're generational and family businesses, generational family businesses, and you know, from the Story Brothers to the Cop Motors. You know, we've got an amazing restaurant right on Main Street, Louis Bar, Louis Diner, or Louis Restaurant. It's a really nice family restaurant. You know, we have Rachel's on the Green at Valhalla, and these are some of the nicest people you will ever meet. They treat people with respect. You know where you stand with these people too,
Right. Yeah.
which I actually respect that.
Me too. So just as a note, the guy's name was Rick Savage.
Rick
Thank you.
Savage, that's
I
it.
don't know why I
Thank
was
you.
thinking Mike.
Thank you.
Because the
Absolutely.
guy that bought Sunday River, his name was Mike. The guy
Okay,
that
I,
bought the
I
Savage
knew there was a
brothers.
Mike in there somewhere.
And you said something earlier and it reminded me of a topic. You know, in Cumberland, a big issue that we had in the school district was, or is, because I don't think it's really been addressed in the way that it should be, is bullying. Because bullying, I don't know how old you guys are, but I'm 51. Bullying for my generation was, you had an issue, you know, two guys went behind the school building, you beat the heck out of each other, you shook hands, and you went back to class.
Yep.
That was
Right.
bullying. That's not bullying today.
No,
It
not with
doesn't-
social media.
Right.
No,
It doesn't stop following.
we've had this discussion on a few podcasts about how students, when bullying starts at school, when we were younger,
Right. They used
we
to be able to go
handled it
home and get away with it.
right.
Be able to go home
The
and get
phone,
away from bullying. I mean,
it follows them home with the social media. There's no downtime. There's no getting away from it.
Yeah, but
And-
see, the worst thing with that is specific to the high school here in town is that depending on who the bully is, depends on their sex, their nationality, they're almost untouchable
right.
because the school, the people, they don't want to get involved because they don't want to be sued. And so they're empowered, right? They feel like they're empowered.
They're
So they
untouchable.
continue. Right, they are. They are. I mean, there was a fight between two girls, I think, and then it became 2-on-1, and a bus driver was going to get involved, and he was told basically, don't get involved because you'll get sued.
Mhm.
I can tell you, as sure as I'm sitting here right now, I would have told somebody to record me, and I would have went and helped. When I say helped, I wouldn't have hit anybody. I wouldn't have physically hurt anybody, but I would have said stop, and I would have got in the middle. Hit me.
Right. Stood in
You're not
between
hitting
it.
that girl. Yeah, or that boy, that young boy. You know, 2-on-1 is not right.
No,
You know,
Right.
no matter
had
who
an
it is.
correct. We've had an advocate down here who's been advocating against bullying, and I think they won a case recently, and I think their young teen is going to potentially go back to school, but I don't feel in my heart of heart, talking with the constituent, that the issue really has been addressed in the way that it should be. You know, everybody thinks they have a solution. Everybody's a Monday morning quarterback, right? Until you're that person and you're involved in it. And then it
Yeah.
becomes real, right?
Right.
Perception's
No,
not
you're
always
right.
reality, but it's somebody's reality.
Yeah, exactly. And as a dad with, I have 3 12-year-old girls, so they're going into the 7th grade. So it's only going to be a matter of time before they start bringing that home with them more often.
Absolutely. I can say I went to the Cumberland MSAD 51. I think it was one of the last school board meetings, and they did a presentation on bullying. And one of the families that's involved in it, unfortunately, they were there present listening to the presentation. And the local representative, my opponent, was present, and he left during the presentation. Now, he had prior commitments, and I can't judge him for that. I'm not the representative, but I chose to stay. And I'm not tooting my own horn. That's not why I'm saying that. But as a sitting representative for something that's extremely serious in our school, in our district, that would have been an important thing to advocate and be there and listen. Now, maybe he had resources that I'm not aware of, and the other people in the district are not aware of. Maybe he had somebody there taking notes for him. Maybe he's going to go back and he's going to watch the council meeting. So I'll give him that benefit of the doubt. But, you know,
I can appreciate that you are giving him the benefit of the doubt. We see a
Right.
lot of politicians that wouldn't do that. So I definitely wanted to point out that I think that's a good trait that you have.
Well, I try to, thank you for that. I try to look at it from how would I want to be treated, right?
Absolutely.
Because I've been on social media a couple of times to look at a few things that people are saying, And we started in the beginning of the conversation before we started recording, I got people slandering me saying that, I'm running for, it's a scam, right? Because I'm running for District 110, which is Waterville.
Right. That's my old district number. We're 90 or 64 now, I think.
Right. And I read some other
64
things.
and 65, I believe.
Yeah, that was with the number flips.
Yeah, and then I read some other things where people said, I was the guy that was boisterous at the school drop off for our child, making teachers cry about the masks. And I asked my 7-year-old tonight, I'm like, hey, you were with me, right? Every day when I dropped you off? Yeah. Did we ever make anybody cry? No. What did we do when we dropped you off? We said our prayers. I hugged you, or you hugged me, and you walked me up, and you got in the car and left. I'm like, yeah, that's how it was. But, people are always quick to attack, and they don't think about the other side. How would it be from their perspective? How would they feel?
They also don't think before they say something.
Absolutely.
How it might impact somebody.
Absolutely. Right there. That's the other thing I was saying to him too. People are in the chapter right there in that moment. They're not thinking about the chapter before or the chapter after, because maybe they didn't read the chapter. It's social media. It's our national television media, right? It's that 30-second clip, that 30-second sound.
That then and there.
Correct.
Everything's disposable, and we want it now.
Well, people react based on emotions and feelings and not facts.
Absolutely.
You need to set aside your feelings and your emotions, as hard as that is, and look at the facts. You may not like the facts, but the facts are the facts.
Yep.
Absolutely.
So just out of curiosity, what's your current house number right now until before the flip happened?
Sure, 45.
Oh, I was hoping it would be like 65.
Right.
Why is that? Let me ask you. Why is that?
Because the old one in Waterville was 65. So it would have been funny if they just literally flip-flopped.
Oh, that's funny.
Well, we had 109 and 110, and now it's what, 64 and 65? 64 and 65, yeah.
I want to put in some shameless plugs for some amazing representatives, kind of like what you
absolutely doing. Go right ahead.
Jennifer White, who's running for the Senate candidate down here in my district. I can't remember all her towns, so shame on me. I think it's Gray, New Gloucester, part of Yarmouth, or all of Yarmouth, Cumberland, and Shelley Rednicki, who's been a guest. She's amazing. Barbara Bagshaw in Wyndham, Heidi Sampson down in Sanford, Josh Morris and Turner, Phil Wiseman, obviously Ed Thielander, Governor LePage, Bruce Poliquin. There's some amazing talent out there that will be.
One. We got to throw Billy Bob Falkingham in there too.
I always forget him. Yes,
I just had to throw that one in there.
And Laura Libby and
yes, Laura.
Rick LaChapelle and Lewiston. There's some great candidates out there.
Eric Brakey.
Oh my God. Yes, Eric's gonna strangle me. Yes, in Auburn. Yes.
Eric's a good guy.
And then there's John Lewis in South Portland.
John Andrews.
Yes.
In Paris.
Yep.
Yes. And there's some great media
David
outlets
Boyer
out there. John James does a great job.
Yeah.
Ray Richardson.
Rhonda Snyder's doing a great job too with Maine Journal News.
Yes. Oh, and then my sister from another mother, Elizabeth Jordan in Kennebunkport.
Yep. How about how are you running? Are you running traditional or are you running clean elections?
Clean elections. So, there's different perspectives on both. And, since politics is new to me, all I know is hard work. So when I decided to run, and it took a lot to convince me, I said, what's the easiest way for me to do this? And the most successful way? They said, well, get the money as quickly as possible. So that's what I did. For a month and a half, I went out there every day and said, I need $5 and I need your vote. And I was blessed. And I say it very humbly. I got the 180 that I needed in less than 2 months. And now I've been focusing on meeting everybody as soon as possible, because I think I need to hit something like, I think it's no less than 50 doors a day to get everybody. And so I'm just knocking on doors.
Have you been reaching your goal?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Good
deal. I've got multiple drivers. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
How is your volunteer base?
So the first couple of months it was tough. I'll be honest with you, but now I've got I'd say probably 7 or 8 people on the team.
Did you have
Awesome.
a primary?
No, I didn't. I was blessed.
That's good.
You can't beat that.
No, you can't. You absolutely can't.
Well, you can. The only way you could beat it is if you didn't have someone running against you.
Right. If there's no incumbent.
Right.
I like this
Sure.
guy.
Sure. But yeah. So where can people find you? Where's the best places to look you up?
Sure. You can go to my website at Jordan4, and that's FOR. So again, Jordan4house.com. I try to give you my Facebook page, but it's a little complicated. So just go to the website, Jordan4house.com, and the link is right on there.
We can just tag
believe-
that in the page.
I believe your Facebook's just Jordan for House.
Yeah, but there's some other stuff in there. Yeah, I'm not super tech savvy.
But yeah, I think if you just put Jordan for House, it'll pop up. So
Perfect. Yeah. When I did that a couple times, it brought up Jim Jordan. Which I'm definitely not Jim Jordan.
Go on
Definitely not Jim
pages.
Jordan.
Yeah, they've messed around with it a little bit.
They have absolutely. But again, jordanforhouse.com, Facebook page. Got a campaign video.
I just put it in our chat.
Perfect. I just want to recognize the folks that have helped me out. I've got Bonnie Lynn Stanhope. My campaign manager is Mike Timmons, who held this seat before, who's been active in the Cumberland Fair, which, by the way, has its 150th anniversary this year.
Wow.
Heidi Lesige, Tom Auger, Tom Stanhope, Bonnie's husband, Arnie Mastis. I've had a lot of people that have helped out. I mean, the list could go on and on. People are ready for change.
Absolutely. Do you have any speaking events planned?
Yeah, I have a few. And actually, I want to do a shout out to my church, Green Fellowship Church up in Green, Maine. They've been huge supporters because, we're human, right? We all go through things, right? Sometimes we get down, right? When we don't necessarily see the fruits of our labor manifesting themselves. So my church has been rock solid. They've been really my biggest supporter next to God and then my team. But yes, I do have some speaking events coming up. Jennifer White has what we call a listening tour with Governor LePage for her towns. And I believe the last stop will be at Cop Motors in Cumberland. And I'll definitely be there, obviously, since it's in Cumberland. And then we're trying to finalize an event specific to my district sometime in the middle of September again, where hopefully Ed Thielander, Governor LePage, and Jennifer White will be there as well. And we're going to primarily talk about education and the importance of education.
That's important.
I think that's a good topic overlooked to focus on, for sure.
Absolutely. Well, there's a large percentage of our district has kids in the school. So
absolutely.
And then the other subject, which I'm going to bring up, will be keeping our seniors in the homes. Because again,
definitely. That's a big one too.
Absolutely.
Definitely. Anything you want to add in there, Jeremy?
No, we've pretty much covered it. What are your thoughts on? I'm not sure if you listened to any of our interviews that we had with Shelly, but we had her on and a guy named Bob, and we chatted about the importance of homelessness in the veteran community and how there's 200 homeless vets. What do you hope if you get elected to help try to do to get that number smaller and to mitigate it?
It's funny you brought that up because I just mentioned that. I had an interview on Tuesday and Ray Richardson in the morning. No, it was yesterday, actually. I'm sorry. My weeks fly by. Yesterday on Ray Richardson, WLOB, and then I had a interview or a podcast with John James. And I brought that up proactively. I said, look, it's great that we're helping or wanting to help all these, I don't even know the right word to use anymore because everybody's canceling everybody if you use the wrong term. But these non-Mainers that are coming into our state, right? Everybody wants to open them up because, Maine is a giant melting pot, right? There's all different nationalities in here. But I say personally, what about our seniors? What about our veterans? What about those single mothers that are struggling to earn an income to be able to help their 2 kids, 3 kids?
Right.
And as a veteran myself, and knowing that my dad was a veteran with Parkinson's, and in some cases, some of the treatment that he got was very, very good when he went into a home. And then some of the treatment was really, really bad. And that was before COVID. having Parkinson's and a couple of the other conditions that he had before he passed, he was taking upwards of 30 pills a day.
Wow.
And I can't remember what I had to eat 4 days ago at 51. My dad knew his medicine. I mean, he knew every single pill. He knew exactly when he had to take it, because Parkinson's, the medication, you need to take it at a certain time, every dose. Otherwise, it will throw your day off completely. And a lot of people used to say or confuse him with being an alcoholic or being drunk, because people don't really know Parkinson's as well as they should. So he used to carry a card on him that said, "I'm not drunk, I have Parkinson's."
That's sad that he had to do that.
Absolutely. And the reason I bring that up is when he was in the home for the last year and a half that he was there, a lot of the times, whether it was by choice or they were understaffed, and this was a few years before COVID, he wasn't getting his medicine on time. And I said, well, then you need to let him take his medicine. Even though he's, middle 60s, he knows his medicine.
Right.
And they wouldn't, and it would throw him off. And I think that played a part in why he left, unfortunately. I can't prove it, and I didn't choose to go that route. But it's sad, these, to your point, veterans, what I would do is I would absolutely advocate for veterans. Being a veteran myself, the military does a great job getting us in and training us and teaching us. Yep. Unfortunately, it's not the same when we leave.
I agree.
That's the nicest way I can say it. And I believe everybody should be in the military.
Shock.
Yes.
I come from a military family, so when my father retired, I definitely know what you mean by the culture shock. So
it is.
Was different leaving the military family life, like living on base and being around all the routines that we were always around. It's definitely different.
Yeah, it is. It is a culture shock, but there's so many different things, right? I mean, you're used to having certain things, but it's also, they train you. I mean, they train you on so many things, like it becomes second nature to you. But then when you leave, it's almost like you feel like they don't care about you anymore.
It's just gone.
Right, because you were a tool for them to utilize. And after you leave, you're no longer useful to them.
Correct. But I would say, and I will always say this, I believe everybody should experience the military in some form or fashion, whether it's a year, 2 years, because you learn so much. You learn absolutely so much, like respect, honor, dignity, basic essentials. You learn how to clean.
Right.
I mean, I'm anal today about cleaning at 51, but I'd rather live in a clean house than a dirty house.
It feels better.
It does. It absolutely. I mean, our son is complimented all the time by people. He's such a great mannered kid, and I'm like, those are, it feels good to know that. I don't say, hey, pat me on the back for it, but it feels really good because at 7, it's yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, thank you, sir, thank you, ma'am, no, thank you, I'm all set. I know we're not supposed to say sir and ma'am. It's he and she and proper pronouns. Well, I'm sorry, I'm not one of those guys.
Yeah.
You know where I stand.
Absolutely. And I wish you luck in your upcoming election.
Thank you.
Anything else that you want the people to know before we wind down this podcast?
Get involved.
Definitely. I know one thing that I have sort of been lacking on, and I've kind of lit a fire underneath my butt, but I'm trying to tell people that are running for office, get voter registration cards. So when you are out and about and you do run into people that aren't registered to vote, get them registered and then drop it off at the State House, the Secretary of State, and get them registered to vote.
Absolutely. Well, what I was going to say is, it's not about just getting involved, meaning running for town council, city council, House representatives, Senate, governor. It's also getting out there and volunteering to help these people. Because when you're running for a House or a Senate, it's you're the one out there. So you need a team to help you.
Yeah, either people like drivers,
correct,
passing, knocking on doors.
Correct.
Passing out
mailers.
literature.
When you're doing a mailer, some people just showing up to help fold, seal the envelopes, put the stamps
Yeah,
on.
I've done a few of those.
Yeah.
You want to help people, but you also want to get out there and encourage your neighbors.
Mm-hmm.
You want to say, guys, if you want change, you got to talk to 5 of your friends.
Yep.
You got to talk to 5 of your family members. Well, my family doesn't live in this district. No, but they live in somebody's district.
Right. Exactly.
Well,
And it's not even just about
what's a good rule of thumb? Take three people with you when you go to vote. I think that's the good rule.
Is it?
I think so. I think that's written somewhere. I'm not sure where, but
Absolutely.
But I think it's something that would be good to keep in mind.
Well, we need, as much as people say we don't need it here, we need poll watchers. I can tell you that because I can tell you in Cumberland, Maine, this is a fact. This is evidence. I only try to speak on facts. A school board race occurred. There were 2 seats available in Cumberland. There was 5 candidates. The MEA mailed out a letter to certain districts throughout the state, targeted districts, endorsing 3 of the 5 candidates, the 3 that they wanted.
Yep.
I can tell you certain individuals, the 2 that were not endorsed, one got the email for the questionnaire really late, and I don't know. So this part is my disclaimer. I don't know if the other person got the questionnaire or not, but I can tell you, I believe the number was 25 people in one of the most affluent communities in the state selected 3 people when it clearly stated on the ballot, select 2 candidates. Now, it was only 25 people, but imagine cities, towns throughout the state, throughout the country, throughout the nation, right? Where that number could have been even larger. Now, I'm not saying fraud happens. I'm not saying any of that. I'm just saying that was 25 votes that had to get thrown out that didn't need to get thrown out if people would have just played by the rules. And the town knew about it, but they weren't going to say anything. People had to bring it up.
Yeah.
At a council meeting, which is really sad. And so I got up and I said, as a potential future representative of this district, how many votes? And they said 25. I said, where are they? In a box. What did you do with them? Or what are you going to do with them? They're going to the state. Okay. How long did you know this happened? We started knowing about it around noontime.
No one challenged them, I take it?
No.
That's why we need poll watchers.
Correct. And I mean that for both sides, all sides.
Absolutely. Well, any small mistakes can happen. It's when small mistakes continue to happen and they get overlooked. That's when it becomes an issue, a malfeasance issue, in my opinion.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so it was just, when you take that, you take the day after the election, I was 182 votes short of Governor LePage, Ed Thielander, and Jennifer White. We all had the same category: votes, write-ins, and blanks. So we all should have had the same number, total number, cumulative number. And I was 182 short by, I think, 11 a.m. on the following day. And I had to call in and say, I'm new to elections. I'm new to politics. Help me understand, even though I knew.
Right.
And they said there was an issue with the voting machine. And I'm like, here we go again.
Yeah.
And I blacked out for a hot second, not going to lie to you. And then I came back and I said, hey, just want to know, what does that mean? Oh, the voting machine, the tape, translating it at 11 o'clock at night to the human being. Okay, what are you going to do to fix it? And I had to place some phone calls. I don't know if it was because of the phone calls I placed or if it was the town, but at the end of the day, it got rectified and we all had the same number. Optics don't look good.
But if you hadn't brought up the issue, what do you think would have happened? Do you think it would have been addressed?
I don't know. I don't know what I don't know.
Right.
And I don't want to do that. I can say it didn't matter because I wasn't in a primary, thank God. But if I was in a primary, that could have been a big issue.
Right.
To your point. So
Definitely.
I'm not trying to create issues where they're not.
No.
But when you take that, you take the issue of the school board, and then you take the issue of, I feel like I'm being targeted and Jennifer White's being targeted for our signs, because we have an active sign campaign where we're putting all our signs out on private property throughout the town. And I've got people in the town saying, we've never had such a aggressive sign campaign in our history before. Well, I'm not doing anything illegal. They're all on private property. There's
Right.
nothing that says I can't put them out in June and July on people's private property.
Nope. Private property is
So-
private property.
And when the guy that I'm going against has been there for a long time, I
You
got to
should know
work
the
hard.
laws. Right.
Right.
Name recognition is name recognition. Doesn't matter
But it
how you
doesn't
get it,
mean-
as long as you get it.
That's it. And it doesn't mean I'm going to get elected. And as I told our son, you know, whether I get elected, I shine a really big light on what's wrong, or for me personally, I bring one new person to God. I've done my job and I'm at peace with it. I am truly at peace with it.
Well, I definitely want to thank you for coming on the podcast tonight.
Thank you.
I definitely hope and wish you success in your upcoming election.
Yes.
Thank you.
I guess we will wind this down. So again, thank you, Scott Jordan, for coming on All Sides of Kennebec. I would like to also thank a shared studio for making this possible. Until next time, I'm one of your hosts, Sean.
And I'm Jeremy.
Until next time, remember, a true patriot questions everything. Have a good night.
Thanks, guys.